Mork and Mindy was a groundbreaking sitcom that captured the hearts of audiences with its unique blend of comedy, sci-fi, and heartfelt moments. Starring Robin Williams as the lovable alien Mork and Pam Dawber as his human friend Mindy, the show became an instant classic, showcasing Williams' incredible comedic talent and improvisation skills. Behind its success was a talented cast who helped bring the series to life. Sadly, over the years, many of these actors have passed away. In this tribute, we honor 43 actors from Mork and Mindy who have tragically died, remembering their contributions, careers, and the lasting impact they left on fans around the world. Robin Williams played Mork in 1978 at the age of 27, bringing to life the lovable, eccentric alien whose comedic brilliance masked an underlying loneliness. His electrifying energy and improvisational genius catapulted him to stardom, leading to iconic roles in Dead Poets Society, Good Will Hunting, and Mrs. Doubtfire. Yet behind his infectious laughter, he fought lifelong battles with addiction, severe depression, and a desperate need for approval. His 3 marriages were marred by turmoil, with costly divorces draining his finances. Though he deeply loved his 3 children, his relentless work ethic often kept him away, filling him with guilt. In his final years, he suffered from misdiagnosed Lewy body dementia, which caused paranoia, memory loss, and terrifying hallucinations. Fearful of losing his mind and unable to bear the decline, he tragically took his own life by hanging on August 11, 2014, at 63, leaving the world in mourning and shock.
Boy, am I in for it now. Sent before the white desk again. What did I do? The solar lander, you fool. You painted a mustache on it. What wasn't...
Tom Poston played Mr. Bickley in 1979 at the age of 58, portraying the grumpy, reclusive neighbor who eventually revealed his softer side. A veteran of television, he had a long but often underappreciated career, frequently cast in supporting roles rather than leading ones. Though well-respected, he never reached the level of stardom many of his peers enjoyed, leaving him with a sense of professional disappointment. His personal life was filled with tragedy. His first marriage ended in divorce, and his second wife battled a long and debilitating illness, which took a heavy toll on him emotionally. Though he later found love again with actress Suzanne Pleshette, their happiness was overshadowed by her terminal lung cancer diagnosis. As she declined, so did his health, and he struggled with severe respiratory issues in his final years. Weakened and heartbroken, he passed away on April 30, 2007, at the age of 85 from respiratory failure.
I know lets me draw his rabbits before he skins them.
Here's another one. What is a friend?
Conrad Janis played Fred McConnell in 1978 at the age of 50, portraying Mindy's protective and skeptical father. A gifted actor and jazz trombonist, he spent decades working in Hollywood, though he never achieved widespread stardom. Despite his talents, his career was marked by struggles, often taking small roles to make ends meet. His personal life was equally fraught. His first 2 marriages ended in divorce, leaving him emotionally and financially drained. Though he remarried later in life, his happiness was short-lived as his health deteriorated in his final years. He suffered multiple illnesses, including organ failure, which left him weak and dependent on care. Once a vibrant performer, he became isolated as the entertainment industry moved on without him. By the time he passed away on March 1, 2022, at the age of 94, his death went largely unnoticed by the world he had spent his life entertaining, a quiet and lonely end to a man who had once sought the spotlight.
Mother-in-laws are the curse of marriage.
Oh, Daddy, you know she loves...
Jay Thomas played Remo da Vinci in 1979 at the age of 31, portraying the charming and ambitious co-owner of the local deli. Known for his sharp wit and comedic timing, he found success in television and radio, but his outspoken nature often led to conflicts in the industry. His biggest career setback came when he made a joke about Cheers co-star Rhea Perlman, resulting in his abrupt firing from the show, a loss he never fully recovered from. His personal life was equally complicated. He fathered a child in his youth, but gave him up for adoption, a decision that haunted him for decades. Though he later reconnected with his son, he carried immense guilt for the lost years. Despite maintaining a strong marriage, his past regrets never left him. In 2017, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer that robbed him of his strength and ability to speak. He passed away on August 24, 2017, at the age of 69, his once booming voice silenced by illness.
What do you mean? We had had the same argument in New York.
Oh, yeah? Well, there I could have given you a little pop. Here, I get arrested for violating your space.
Robert Donner first appeared as Exciter in 1978 at the age of 47, playing the wildly eccentric and delusional street preacher who spouted bizarre prophecies and conspiracy theories. It was a role that allowed him to showcase his comedic absurdity, yet behind the scenes, Donner's life was tinged with sorrow. Always a character actor but never a star, he lived in the shadows of Hollywood's elite, scraping by on small roles while watching contemporaries rise to fame. His personal life was equally tumultuous, 3 marriages, all ending in bitterness and estrangement, and no children to carry on his legacy. His later years were spent in relative obscurity, his once thriving career reduced to occasional guest spots in television shows that no longer held the prestige they once did. A heart attack struck suddenly on June 8, 2006, ending his life at the age of 75, alone in his final moments. The man who had spent his life making audiences laugh slipped away in silence.
They arrive. Labor Day. And they're gonna blow up the whole world.
Patrick Cranshaw played Jake Loomis in 1978 at 59, portraying a warm, wise presence amidst Mork's chaotic antics. Though he worked steadily as a character actor, he never achieved leading man status, often overlooked in an industry that prioritized youth and fame. His career was filled with minor roles in films and television, leaving him financially insecure well into his later years. His personal life was equally lonely. His brief marriage to Helen ended in divorce, and he never remarried or had children, spending his twilight years without a family to care for him. As he aged, his health declined, and he spent his final days in quiet obscurity, fading into the background much like his roles. Hollywood, a town he had dedicated his life to, had long since forgotten him. On December 28, 2005, he passed away at the age of 86 from pneumonia, his name barely making the news, a sad reflection of a career spent in the shadows.
Clean, man.
I thought all the flakes were outside. Whoever showed up is supposed to call us.
Jonathan Winters played Mirth in 1981 at the age of 56, portraying Mork and Mindy's peculiar, backward-aging alien child with his trademark eccentricity and lightning-fast wit. Behind his comedic genius, however, lay a lifetime of inner turmoil. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder, Winters experienced extreme mood swings and was institutionalized multiple times, battling severe depression and hallucinations. Though he was married to Eileen Schauder for over 6 decades, his unpredictable behavior put an immense strain on their relationship. Their 2 children, Lucinda and Jay, grew up with a father who oscillated between comedic brilliance and emotional instability. As his career progressed, Winters struggled with loneliness and found solace in painting, retreating from Hollywood's demands. In his later years, he withdrew even further, his mind weighed down by years of psychological battles. On April 11, 2013, he passed away at the age of 87 from natural causes. Foster Brooks brought the character of Miles Sternhagen to life in 1981 at the age of 69, delivering his signature inebriated humor with a charm that endeared him to audiences. Though he had built a career on playing the lovable drunk, the reality behind the performance was far darker. Brooks had battled alcoholism for much of his early life, his addiction nearly destroying both his career and his family before he finally achieved sobriety in his 40s. Even after overcoming his drinking problem, the damage had been done. His his first marriage crumbled under the strain of his years of addiction, leaving his 2 children, Terry and Scott, with fractured memories of an absent father. Though he remarried, the scars of his past never truly faded, and he spent his later years battling health complications linked to his former lifestyle. By the late 1990s, Brooks had retreated from the public eye, his body weakened by time and illness. On December 20, 2001, he died at the age of 89 from natural causes.
Miss McConnell, you believe in speaking your mind.
Yes.
That's why I fired the last girl. Maybe I ought to.
Harvey Lembeck brought his comedic talents to Mork and Mindy in 1981 at the age of 58, playing Ovitz, a cocky yet hapless character who often found himself in ridiculous predicaments. Lembeck had been a staple of television and film for decades, known for his boisterous energy and impeccable comedic timing. But behind the laughter lay a man burdened by the pressure of maintaining a career that often seemed to be slipping through his fingers. His marriage to Caroline Dubs was, by all accounts, a loving one, and he took pride in his children, Michael and Helene, both of whom followed in his footsteps. Yet, even familial joy could not quell the growing anxiety that plagued him as he aged in an industry that had little use for aging comedians. In his final years, his health declined unexpectedly, and in the early morning hours of January 5, 1982, he suffered a massive heart attack that ended his life at 58.
If you don't want old Gisba to call on you when she asks a question, all you have to do is raise your hand. Got it? You raise your hand when she asks a question, she won't.
Maureen Arthur joined Mork and Mindy in 1981 at the age of 47, portraying Zelka, an Orkin schoolgirl whose innocence and curiosity provided comic relief. Arthur had once been a promising starlet, her beauty and charisma earning her roles in films and Broadway productions, yet she never quite broke through to lasting stardom. Instead, her career slowly dwindled into guest appearances and minor roles, each one a reminder of the fame that had always remained just out of reach. Though she found fleeting happiness in her marriage to producer Aaron Rubin, their inability to have children left an unspoken sorrow between them. After his death in 2010, she was left alone, her health already beginning to deteriorate. Alzheimer's crept into her mind, stealing away her memories, her career, and eventually, her very sense of self. The once vibrant actress spent her final years in a haze of confusion, cared for by distant relatives and hired aides. On June 15, 2022, she succumbed to the disease at the age of 88.
Oh, Bert, I missed you at recess. I waited for you in the sandbox.
That's very nice. He's already made a little friend.
Raquel Welch played Captain Nirvana in 1979 at the age of 39, portraying a powerful and commanding leader. Her role reflected her own real-life image, strong, independent, yet constantly fighting to be taken seriously in Hollywood, where she was often reduced to just a sex symbol. Despite her fame, her personal life was tumultuous. She married 4 times, James Welch, Patrick Curtis, Andre Weinfeld, and Richard Palmer, but none of her marriages lasted, each ending in bitterness and disappointment. She had 2 children, Damon and Tawny, but the demands of her career often left little time for family. As she aged, she found herself pushed aside by an industry obsessed with youth, deepening her feelings of rejection. In her later years, she withdrew from the spotlight, living in increasing isolation. She passed away on February 15, 2023, at the age of 82 from natural causes, a once iconic star who, in the end, felt abandoned by the very industry that made her famous.
No, it's a yo-yo. Yo-yo.
Oh, yes, we have something like this on our planet, but without the string.
Johnny Hamer portrayed Danny St. Tommy in 1979 at 59, bringing to life a charismatic and quick-witted character always involved in elaborate schemes. In reality, Hamer was a dedicated character actor who spent much of his career in the shadows of bigger stars, never achieving the recognition he desperately desired. His marriage was strained due to his obsessive pursuit of success, leaving little time for family. Though he had children, his workaholic nature and constant need to prove himself kept him distant from them, leading to regret in his later years. As he aged, Hollywood had less use for his talents, and he struggled both financially and emotionally. In his final years, he was diagnosed with cancer, a devastating battle that left him physically and mentally drained. Feeling forgotten by the industry he had given his life to, he passed away on November 18, 1989, at 69, a man who had spent his life chasing validation that always remained out of reach.
Now, God knows I'd do anything to help her. But God also knows there are thousands of troops surrounding the castle, and there are not enough of us to fight them. Yeah.
Anita Dangler graced Mork and Mindy as Princess Lusitania in 1979 at the age of 57, a regal figure whose presence demanded attention. Off-screen, Dangler's life was anything but majestic. Her career had been filled with disappointments, struggling to gain recognition despite her undeniable talent. She lived much of her life in obscurity, rarely landing major roles and often relegated to minor appearances in television and film. The weight of unfulfilled dreams bore down on her, and financial struggles plagued her later years. She was married once but divorced soon after, and the absence of children left her feeling increasingly isolated as she aged. Her health began to fail in the late 1990s, and she faced her final years in solitude, with few close companions to support her. On November 7, 2000, she passed away at the age of 77 from natural causes, a woman who had spent her life waiting for the moment of stardom that never came.
Is that you?
Cuspador!
Exodor.
Of course! I'd know you anywhere.
Georgia Engel played Ambrosia Mousebar in 1979 at 31, a sweet and kind-hearted character known for her gentle demeanor. Engel herself had a similar disposition, often cast in soft-spoken, innocent roles that she found both a blessing and a curse. Though adored by audiences and respected in the industry, she never married and had no children, dedicating herself entirely to acting. While she maintained a cheerful public image, her private life was marked by loneliness. She was deeply religious, and her unwavering faith dictated many of her personal decisions, including refusing medical treatment in her final years. As her health declined, she withdrew further from the world, suffering quietly. She passed away on April 12, 2019, at 70 from natural causes, leaving behind a legacy of warmth on screen but a life that, despite success, often lacked deep personal connections.
So, how did you two lovebirds meet?
She chalked me.
Excuse me?
Brian James was only 33 when he played George in Mork and Mindy in 1978, bringing his signature tough guy persona to the screen. George was brash and confrontational, always clashing with Mork's carefree ways. James built a career on playing rough, intimidating characters, a far cry from the sensitive soul he was in real life. Despite a prolific career in Hollywood, he was constantly overshadowed by bigger stars, forever trapped in the role of the villain but never the hero. His personal life was equally challenging, his marriage was fraught with tension, and despite having children, he often felt disconnected from them due to his demanding career. As he aged, his health deteriorated, and the stress of a life spent chasing fleeting success took its toll. In 1999, he suffered a fatal heart attack, passing away on August 7 at the age of 54. Though he left behind a legacy of memorable roles, he had always longed for the recognition that never truly came in his lifetime.
This, I take it, is Mork.
Oh, no, that's a great car. My name is Mork. I knew.
Well,
Don Galloway played the determined and by-the-book FBI man in Mork and Mindy in 1979 at the age of 42. His character was methodical, serious, and committed to solving cases, a stark contrast to Mork's chaotic energy. Galloway had found early success with Ironside, but after its cancellation, his career took a downward turn. Once a sought-after actor, he struggled to secure meaningful roles, leading to frustration and resentment toward Hollywood's fickle nature. He married twice, but neither marriage brought lasting happiness. His first ended in divorce, while his second was plagued by emotional distance and unspoken regrets. He had children, but his relationship with them became strained over time, especially as his career disappointments consumed him. Facing professional rejection and personal dissatisfaction, he turned to alcohol, isolating himself further. In his later years, he abandoned acting entirely, becoming politically outspoken but ultimately fading into obscurity. On January 8, 2009, he suffered a stroke and passed away at the age of 71.
Well, Sally, is he after her baby?
It could be, but don't worry. We're watching her.
Oh, thank goodness.
The odd thing is, when he left here, he didn't follow her. He followed some strange-looking man with suspicion.
Hugh Gillen played Dave in Mork and Mindy in 1981 at 56, portraying a kind-hearted and amiable character. While he had a steady career with appearances in films like Back to the Future Part 3 and Psycho 2, he never reached true stardom, remaining one of Hollywood's countless supporting players. Though he was married, his commitment to acting often kept him away from his family, leading to emotional distance. He had children, but his relationship with them weakened over time as work took precedence. As he aged, roles became scarce, and he faced the painful realization that Hollywood had little use for aging character actors. His later years were marked by loneliness and declining health, as dementia slowly stole away his memories and sense of self. Once a man with a vibrant career, he was left in the shadows, unable to recognize even his loved ones. On May 4, 2004, he passed away at 78 from natural causes, his final years a tragic contrast to the warmth he brought to his on-screen roles.
Glass with Fred Flintstone on it.
You know, I think we had some milk around here once. I'll check and see if it's still liquid.
Paul Reubens took on the role of Dickie Nimitz in 1981 at 29, bringing his trademark eccentricity to the character, though it was a minor role compared to what would come next. Just a few years later, he skyrocketed to fame with Pee-wee's Playhouse, creating an iconic persona beloved by children and adults alike. However, his career came crashing down in 1991 when he was arrested in a public scandal that humiliated him and led to years of exile from Hollywood. Though he attempted a comeback, his reputation never fully recovered, and he remained a divisive figure. His personal life was shrouded in secrecy. He never married and had no children, often retreating into his private world. Behind the scenes, he battled depression, loneliness, and eventually cancer, which he kept hidden from even his closest friends. Despite his struggles, he continued working up until the very end. On July 30, 2023, he succumbed to acute hypoxic respiratory failure at the age of 70.
Marriage dissolved.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I trust Mindy further than I can throw her. I mean, I don't have a jealous bone in my body.
Barbara Billingsley played Mrs. Louise Bailey in Mork and Mindy in 1982 at the age of 67, bringing the same comforting presence she had as June Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. On screen, she was the ideal mother, but in real life, her journey was far more complex. Twice divorced, she spent much of her later years alone, outliving most of her peers and struggling with the reality of Hollywood's fading interest in older actresses. She had 2 sons, but her demanding career often kept her away, leaving her with regrets about missed moments in their childhood. Though beloved by audiences, she faced the painful truth that fame was fleeting, and in her final years, she withdrew from the public eye. She suffered from polymyalgia, a debilitating condition that left her in constant pain, making even daily tasks a struggle. As the years passed, her world grew smaller, and she lived out her final days in quiet solitude. She passed away on October 16, 2010, at 94.
You know, it was the first good night's sleep I've had in 31 years.
Well, you
Jeffrey Lewis played Deputy Tilwick in 1978 at the age of 43, portraying a dedicated but often frazzled lawman attempting to maintain order amid chaos. A gifted character actor, Lewis became a familiar face in Hollywood, often appearing in Clint Eastwood films like High Plains Drifter and Every Which Way But Loose, yet he was perpetually relegated to supporting roles. Despite his extensive resume, he never reached leading man status, and financial insecurity loomed throughout his life. He married Glenys Duggan Batley, but the strains of his career and frequent absences led to their divorce. He fathered 10 children, including actress Juliette Lewis, yet his workaholic nature kept him emotionally distant from his family. As he aged, roles dwindled, and he struggled with bouts of depression and declining health. He faced growing isolation, exacerbated by industry indifference and his fading recognition. On April 7, 2015, he suffered a fatal heart attack at 79.
Here, you'll have to drink from the bottle.
It's empty.
Then suck the cork.
What's wrong here, Fred?
Richard Mall played Baba Gentle in 1981 at the age of 38, portraying a towering yet kind-hearted figure who often served as a protector to others. Though widely recognized for his role in Night Court, his deep voice and intimidating presence led to typecasting, limiting his opportunities to mostly villainous roles and voice work. Despite a long career, he never found the critical acclaim he desired, leaving him frustrated and financially strained as Hollywood moved on. His personal life was equally troubled. He married twice, both ending in painful divorces, and though he had 2 children, his career and personal struggles kept him emotionally distant. In his later years, he faced declining health and increasing isolation, retreating from the public eye and struggling with financial woes. On October 26, 2023, he passed away at the age of 80, a once imposing figure reduced to quiet obscurity, largely forgotten by the industry he dedicated his life to.
I don't believe I caught your name.
My name is Baba Gentle.
I knew it. Oh, Baba Gentle.
Logan Ramsay played Arnold Wanker in 1978 at the age of 57, embodying a gruff, no-nonsense figure who frequently found himself in humorous situations. A veteran character actor, Ramsay appeared in countless television shows, including Star Trek, Mannix, and Mork and Mindy, but he was always in the background, never achieving stardom. His marriage to actress Ann Ramsay was both passionate and challenging. Her unexpected success in Throw Mama from the Train overshadowed his own career, leaving him struggling with feelings of professional inadequacy. The couple never had children, and after Ann's death in 1988, Logan withdrew from the industry, grappling with profound loneliness and declining health. The lack of work and fading recognition took a toll, and he spent his final years in near obscurity. On June 26, 2000, he suffered a fatal heart attack at 79, dying as Hollywood moved forward without a second glance.
Life.
And speaking of foreclosure, your rent payment is due Friday. Today is Wednesday.
Oh, I'll have the money.
John Houseman played Milt in 1982 at the age of 80, exuding wisdom and authority in his brief but impactful role. A titan of the entertainment world, Houseman had been an acclaimed producer, director, and actor, but behind his cultured persona lay decades of struggle. Though respected, he was never fully embraced by Hollywood, often seen as too intellectual, too rigid, too much a relic of an era long past. His personal life was a paradox. He married once and had a son, but he was an emotionally distant father, lost in his own ambitions. He outlived many of his closest friends, watching as time eroded the world he had once thrived in. His final years were marked by physical decline, his body betraying him as he suffered from spinal cancer, a painful and slow deterioration that left him bedridden and dependent on others, an unbearable fate for a man who had always prided himself on his strength. On October 31, 1988, at the age of 86, he succumbed to his illness. Ned Werdimer played the clerk in 1979 at the age of 56, a meticulous and organized character who brought a dry, bureaucratic humor to the show. Though best known as Ralph the Doorman on The Jeffersons, Werdimer was a lifelong working actor who never reached true stardom, spending his career in supporting roles that barely paid the bills. His marriage to Skynuku was one of his few sources of stability, but their lack of children left him feeling disconnected in his later years. As work dried up in the 1990s, he withdrew from Hollywood, struggling with the reality that his contributions to television were largely forgotten. A devastating fall in his 80s led to severe complications, confining him to a hospital bed where he spent his final months in agony, unable to move without pain. On January 2, 2013, he died at the age of 89 from these complications, his name barely making the news as Hollywood had long moved on from its forgotten character actors. Henry Pollock, too, played Dr. Benton Phillips in 1979 at 34, portraying a compassionate and intelligent doctor who offered support to those in need. Known for his sharp wit and versatile talent, Pollock worked steadily in television and theater but never achieved the fame he had hoped for. His most recognizable role came later as the voice of Scarecrow in Batman, the animated series, yet even that remained a niche achievement. Pollock never married and had no children, often expressing regret over his solitary existence. As he aged, work became scarce, and he struggled with financial instability. In his later years, he faced a devastating diagnosis of colon cancer, enduring aggressive treatments largely on his own. Though he continued to make public appearances at conventions, the final years of his life were marked by suffering and dwindling professional recognition. He passed away on August 11, 2013, at the age of 68, his contributions largely unrecognized by the broader entertainment industry. Stanley Camill portrayed Charlie in 1981 at the age of 38, bringing his signature charm to the role. A veteran of television, he was best known for playing Dr. Kroger in Monk, but his career was largely defined by guest-starring roles on shows like Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210. Despite his professional success, his personal life was marked by deep loneliness. He never married or had children, pouring everything into his acting. In his later years, as roles became scarcer, he suffered from anxiety and depression, struggling with the reality of growing older in an industry obsessed with youth. His greatest fear was being forgotten, and in a cruel twist, he passed away suddenly from a heart attack on April 8, 2008, at 65, alone in his Hollywood home. His body was not discovered for days, a tragic end for a man who had spent his life entertaining audiences but found little personal connection in his own. Who is your favorite character in Mork and Mindy? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.